of goods. One, economic goods, which has been created by man, which has got a price to command, and people have got utility for that good, and which has got the opportunity cost like car, piped water, electricity, etc. Free goods are those kind of goods created by nature, no price at all, and have a utility which is not in exchange value and no opportunity cost like seawater. Concept of demand. Demand for a commodity refers to the number of units of a particular goods or services that consumer are willing, this willing is important, willing and able to purchase during a specific period at a given price. Now, under that, you can see the characteristics. What are the characteristics? Please go through it. Price is there, period of time is there, necessity is there, and exchange value. Now, type of demands. There are different types of demand. One is individual demand. That means demand of goods and services by an individual and household. And under this, we have got joint demand. Demand for goods that are jointly consumed, car and petrol. Competitive demand. As far as competitive demands are concerned, these are also called substitute goods like tea and coffee, which can be substituted for one another. Derived demand like labors, and market demand, of course, individual demand, which consists of different individuals. Now see, 1, 2, 3. 3 individuals consist of a market demand. So all the individual demand together frame a market demand. Now, in market demand, you can see that fluctuation is less, but individual demand fluctuation is more. Another kind of demand is ex ante or ex post. Demand for commodity may be viewed as ex ante, that means intended. That means you have planned, or ex post demand, that means you have already purchased. So these are the two, another kind of demand. Third kind of demand, joint demand, when a product jointly demanded with some other product like bat and ball, microchip and Apple iPhone. So these are all together you have to demand for them. It's not that you are individually demand for this. Next kind of demand is derived demand. The housing market is a good example where you can see the bricks, the tins and all these things are demanded because we need to build a house. So generally raw material are called derived demand, where you get to know about the demand by the final product, where this kind of product are used as the raw material. Now you can see derived demand, you can see the labors are increased day by day. You can see that clouds are used for the internet. Labors, as I told you, now next is homes are increasing. That's why steels are demand. So see, steels are the derived demand. Then is the composite demand. It is total demand for a commodity which arises when it is required for different purpose. Like steels are used in different purpose for different types of products. Hi students, as we discussed in the first session that demand is what? There are few characteristics of demand, and the major characteristics that consumer should have the ability to pay, they are ready to exchange, there should be a price related to that, and of course a period of time. So what are they? The price related to the commodity. Second one is that there is a period of time within which they are doing that or giving the demand. Third is willingness to pay, willingness and ability. It's very important that the consumer should have you may demand a Audi car, but maybe you don't have the purchasing power, or you have the purchasing power but you don't have the willingness to pay. And last one is the exchange, that the consumer should have the wish or willingness to exchange the money. The consumer should not be the miser. So if these characteristics are met, so you can say that it's a valuable demand for economics. Now, as we got to know about demand and the definition of demand, let's go for a few important points of demand. Individual demand. What do you mean by individual demand? And demand function. What is demand function? Demand function is the relationship between demand with other factors. So those factors which are there in right side, they are called independent factors. That means this are not depend upon this. But dx which is the left side, dx called dependent variable. And these are called independent variable. So now for individual demand function, dx is the function of px. Px is price of x commodity. X commodity may be anything. PR is the price of related goods. Y, its income. T stands for taste and preference. E stands for expected price of the X. That means suppose X is a commodity, expected price, what a consumer is expecting about the price of X. So again I'm going through this. Individual demand function is dx equal to function, f is function of px. Px is price of the commodity, pr by price of the related goods, y is the income, t is the taste and preference, e is the expected price. Let us see in detail what are the factors affecting individual demand. Number one, own price. That means price of that particular commodity, high or low, accordingly demand will change. Number two, price of related commodity, which we have defined with PR. Now price of related commodity. Now related commodity are of two types. One is substitute commodity like tea and coffee. Tea and coffee, either you take tea or you take coffee. Number two, complementary. Complementary means both the product should be used simultaneously, like pen and a refill or car and petrol. Next, income. Income is very important, income of the consumer, because your demand depend upon income. Now, if it is a normal goods, then definitely when your income increases, the demand also increase. But if it is inferior goods like biri, jowar or all this kind of stuff, those are called inferior goods. And inferior good means when your income is high, you stop demanding for that goods. So inferior good means when your income is high, you stop demanding for the goods. Number four, what is that? Taste and preference. Taste and preference, suppose you want to consume particular commodity, definitely your income, your price do not force your demand. You will still keep on demanding. Now finally is expectation. Expectation is expected price of that particular commodity in future. So if suppose you think that after this lockdown particular commodities price increasing or it will increase, definitely you try to hoard. Hoard means you try to keep the commodity in store. So your demand will definitely get higher and higher. One, you got to know that market demand consists of, remember the diagram which we have shown, that a lot of individuals demands together form a market demand. So individual demand is different, as you know, the factors which affecting individual demand, but market demand is guided by other factors. Most of the factors are common, but there are few more factors which guide the market demand, because individual demand is your demand. Suppose Paramita's demand, Ria's demand, Aftab's demand, individual demand. Now all together from the market demand. Let's see. The market demand function is the function of, similarly, price of that commodity, price of related commodity. Y stands for income, T stands for taste and preference, E stands for expected price of the commodity. Here these two are different. P is the population in the market. Suppose population in the market means, suppose Kabardanga place market populations are high, so definitely your demand, market demand will high. So population is very important for market demand, which is not there in individual demand. And then D, the total percentage of demand for that particular commodity in that market. That means suppose your particular market has got more demand. because that particular market has got more customer who require that product. So definitely your market demand will change. So we are not going to analyze market demand that much. We will be concentrating on individual demand only. Now, what are the assumption? Before we go for law of demand, let us find the assumption. Law of demand is a very, very important aspect of economics, law of demand. But I prefer that before I go for law of demand, let us find what are the assumptions. As you know, the assumptions are more important in economics. So first assumption is, whenever we discussed about law of demand, we only take Px and dx. And rest of the things we assume as constant. So what are the rest of the thing? Rest of the thing are price of related goods, that means PR should not be changed, that means constant. Number 2, income of consumer should not be changed, that means constant. Taste and preference should not be changed, that means constant. No change in price in future. That means apart from Px, we'll assume all as constant. So let me put a bar. That means this all are assuming to be constant whenever we want to discuss about demand law.